So we're going to be looking at high fidelity wireframes. So what I have open here is the completed activity from my previous Figma video. If you didn't watch that video and follow along, then you won't have this to work with. So I would recommend that you go back and watch and follow that video. Otherwise, you can just watch this and pick up some tricks from it. Just a couple of things. I am going to be working with two plugins here. Font Awesome Icons V8 and Lorem Ipsum by Div Riots. So if you don't have those installed, you can just go to Plugins, Manage Plugins, and you can do a search for them and just install them so that they're available to you. And then secondly, there is a folder that you can, or a zip file that you can download called Hi-Fi Wireframe. And you'll find the link in the description, and I'll just show you quickly what it contains. It just contains a few images here. So cover, beach pic, red chili, spicy dish 1, 2, and 3. Please excuse the noise. It's my cat in her litter box. Okay, so I'm going to take the mid-Fi wireframe here, and I'm just going to hold down Option or Alt and make a copy across here so that I can use it as the beginning point for my Hi-Fi wireframe. So a Hi-Fi wireframe is basically a wireframe that contains pretty close to what you're actually going to end up with. It'll contain the actual images, the actual icons, most of the more important text like headings and things like that. It might not contain the finer print, but it's going to give you or your client a pretty clear idea of what the final product is going to look like. It's not a prototype. So a prototype is where you've actually built in the interactivity and the linking of pages and stuff like that. So let's start. First of all, I'm going to rename this to Hi-Fi Wireframe. And then I'm going to start customizing things. So first of all, this header section, I'm going to put an image in the background here. So I'm going to double click so that that is isolated, because this is a group. Double clicking will drill into that group. And then down the bottom toolbar, I'm going to click and choose image video. And I'm going to go to that, where's my Hi-Fi wireframe, and I'm going to choose this cover beach pic. And I'm just going to click on that background. I'm going to double click and then click and hold and drag, and you can see it gives me a ghost of the image, and I'm just going to drag it so that that palm tree is a little bit more visible there. Okay. So that's the background for the header. Then for the logo, I'm going to click on that and then also choose image video, and I'm going to choose red chili pepper, and I'm going to click on that. Right, so it's not fitting in there, so let's have a look at this more closely. I'm just going to go to my image fill here, and I'm going to change fill to fit. And I also want to remove the stroke from that. And I'm just going to scale it up a bit. So when you're scaling up, you need to go to your selection tool and change, or your move tool and change to scale. And then I'm just going to hold down shift, scale that up and position it. So that's my logo. All right, then for the search bar, switching back to my move tool, I'm going to pick up some colors here. So I'm going to double click to isolate that search box. And then I'm going to go to my fill here, and I'm going to choose my eyedropper, and I'm going to pick up this sort of beigey color from that photo. I'm also going to add it to my library. So add it and just create variables. So you can see in my library I now have that color saved. And I'm going to change the roundness of the corners. So over here, I'm just going to increase that value. Let's go up. That's a bit much. Go to 20. Okay, and the text, I'm going to stick with something that I know everyone will have. Let's just choose Arial and regular and 26 points is enough. Just position that here. And this is going to be an icon. So I'm going to go to my plugins, go to Font Awesome Icons V6. And I'm going to type in here, search. And I'm going to use this little icon here. Okay, so once I've got it, I'm going to select it and cut it. So Control or Command X, get rid of that little box, and then I'm going to select this, and I'm going to choose Edit, Paste to Replace. And then I can just use my arrow keys just to nudge it into position. Okay, so that's my search bar done. Now for the menu here, I'm going to, instead of repeating over and over again, I'm going to get rid of these three. And I'm just going to style one, and then we can duplicate it again. All right, so I'm going to double click to get the menu box. In fact, in my layers here, let's take menu button. And I want to give it a kind of nice chili color. So let me find the chili there, and I'm going to go to my fill eyedropper, pick up the nice rich spicy red, add it to my library, and I'm going to round the corners on that to 40. Then I'm going to take the text component of this, and I'm going to change the fill color in my libraries to this beige color. And I'm just going to call this, let me just check, articles. Oops. Okay, I think the text is a little bit too big. Okay. And we'll just center that on there. All right, so now I'm going to make a copy by holding down Option or Alt and dragging that group, and then repeating Control or Command D. And then I can just change the text in these ones. So this one will be blog. Okay. And this one will be gallery. And this one will be contact. Okay. And then one of the things that I can do is I can select these 4 items. And over here, I can put this button, Auto Layout On. And what it will do is it will put those 4 items into their own frame. And what I can now do is go here to this button. What is this button called? Horizontal gap between. And I can just adjust the gap, and they will all adjust together, which is pretty neat. All right, so that is my header. Let's look at the next section here. So I'm going to double click to isolate this image, or this box, not image, and then I'm going to go image video, and I'm going to choose that cover pick again and put it in there. And then what I want to do is just drag it, holding down so that I can see, so that it lines up with the header image like that. Okay, and then I'm going to change the opacity, here's opacity, down. Okay, so I have something like that. And then let's put some text into this box here. So I'm going to take my type tool, and I'm going to click and type Paradise Cooking. And again, I will stick to Arial. Let's make this bold, and I'll put the size up. And I'll set the fill to that chili color. Now I can get rid of this box. Okay, and then for the sort of little splurb that's going to go in here for this paragraph, I'm going to take my type tool, excuse me, and I'm going to drag over that area. And I'm going to say plugins, lorem ipsum. And I'm just going to say generate. And then I'm going to Control or Command A to select. And I'm going to change the font to regular. And now I'm just going to adjust the font and the leading. And I'm going to center it. And I'm just going to remove any extra text here so that it fills that area. So this is just lorem ipsum text. Okay, and I need that to be inside this top section, and I can now remove this paragraph item. Okay, so that's kind of the process that I'm going to continue doing here. I don't think there's anything else new that I'm going to cover creating these items. So I'm going to just go through the process of creating them, and I will speed it up so that this video isn't too long. Okay, so the footer still needs a bit more work. It's not quite there, but you get the idea. Obviously, I need to go back into my layers and I need to make sure everything's properly labeled and in the right position. I think it mostly is because that's carried over from the mid-Fi wireframe, but I'll need to do some double checking and maybe some tweaking. But this should just give you an idea of what a Hi-Fi wireframe should look like. And then the next stage obviously is the prototyping, which is to make it react and interact like a web page so that it can be tested. Okay, so something I forgot to do, so I'm just inserting this little bit here. While I was editing this video, I realized that I didn't actually customize these items here. So I'm going to go in here and just add the images that need to be added. Okay, and this will be curry lamb, and then this one will be this one, and this will be veg curry. Okay, so I just forgot to do that, otherwise everything else is in good shape.